So, a couple of things that I think are really interesting that I wanted to kind of talk about before I get back into wandering around in the house and exploring the story. One thing that I've kind of been sort of sitting with since the last time that I played the game was how it's interesting that the game does this thing where it juxtaposes intimacy with emptiness, with loneliness, right? Where we're almost like a ghost traveling through this ominous space, right? Like there's the storm outside, the house is empty. There's a sort of sense of abandonment in that they're moving in, but there's a feeling of unlivedness. And then the only expression of home that we get is really from the uncle or the uncle that lived here before, the great uncle, because we see this sort of haunted house vibe. There's occasional hints of like this is kind of a scary game with the thunder and the creaking of the house and the fake out that we saw earlier with the bathtub. But you contrast that heavily against this exploratory sense of being allowed into the intimacy of a life. And it's a life that you're ostensibly connected to, right? You're a part of this family, but we're not really. Like all we have available to us to know anything about ourselves is this bit where we have our boarding pass, we know our name, we know where we were, we have our passport, and I could very easily envision this as a game in which you actually are a ghost, right? Like, I mean, obviously it's not in this case, but we're getting that intimacy that a spirit can often have, where we're invisible simply because the characters are missing from the setting. And it brings me to another point, and something I wanted to talk a little bit about before I got started too. Think about as I move through the end of the game, and kind of as you go back, if you're just tuning in, you haven't seen the earlier episodes. If you go back and watch through those other ones, think about how this game does a really good job of blurring the lines between setting and character, right? A narrative is usually presented in a setting and by characters interacting with each other and by action caused by the setting or caused by the situation or whatever. And what we've got here is a game that's basically devoid of character in a sense, because the characters have been blended with the setting, right? That our sister, that Sam and her girlfriend Lonnie and our mother and father and Ranger Rick and stuff, they're all painted on the same palette as the house. The house is a space we can move through, but in a lot of ways, our family is also a space that we move through, right? They don't change, they're static. And I guess that's an interesting thing to kind of look at, is characters have a sense of dynamism to them moment to moment the setting often doesn't have. And what we're presented with here is a static scene to move through, which is what I think makes a lot of people think that this is not a game, right? In the idea that a game has to have certain qualifiers to be, to be considered, and it's not a topic that I'm really interested in, like what is a game, what isn't a game. This is a game, but the point is that it's a game that does things a bit differently than most, and I think that you'd be hard pressed to imagine that not being the case. So I'm gonna wander around in the basement a little bit more, and we'll see what we can find. So we know that Sam and this is something that I'm finding really fun to try to sort of pick apart, is the timeline of the game. And I wish that I had done a better job at the beginning of making a note of when things were happening, because I'd love to know. This just makes me think about it. So Sam is going away to Reed College, right? So she's been accepted to go away. This is the creative writing college program that she wants to get into. It's noted here she was accepted January 24th, 1995, which I guess means the end of 1995 would be when she was going. So she's in her last year of high school now. We also know that Lonnie, that her girlfriend, is going away to be in the military. Now, what's interesting for me is when did Sam learn that? When did she apply for the program? And how would all of those things how would all those things run together, right? Like, what would that timeline look like? I feel like if I did another playthrough of the game, that's what I would look at. And if you're going to do your own playthrough, maybe that's something you can share. You know, figure out what time everything happened. When did we come home? What is the date of the game? And help build up that timeline, because I find it really interesting. Alright, so we know that she's going away. The basement has given us a lot of information about... So we know I think the last thing that we heard was that they're going to kind of have to separate. We don't know if they're going to break up or not, but they're going to separate, and Lonnie's going to go to join the military, and Sam ostensibly is going to go to school. And so there's this ad for the broken heart for them to share. So the impression that I'm getting here is that Sam wants them to stay together while she's away. So let's see what else we can find. This is where I came in. I just want to make sure, because the basement, I have a feeling, is probably pretty full of stuff, and I would hate to miss anything. So we have this painting with a face cut out, and this is Richard Greenbrier, PhD, Professor Laureate of English. So not someone I'm directly related to. Old family portrait, but the face has been cut out, and I don't know if that's the game, you know, doing that intentionally, or if it's just a case of, sorry, just adjusting my light, just a case of the, yeah, the game trying to be creepy, or it's just a case of something we don't know about yet. So let's keep exploring, and we'll see what we can do. So there's some old paintings, it looks like, back here. A newspaper clipping that's hidden. If you look, it's hidden in the back. Like, this is not an obvious place to go, an obvious path. So we saw this one before. This is the soda fountain for Oscar Masson, the old owner of the house. This is dated March 3rd, 1959. And you can see down at the bottom, Terry Greenbrier, which is my dad, so nephew of Mr. Masson. So just a way to build the history of the place, you know, without doing that thing where the game, you know, would normally just dump all the information on us. So this is the letter that we saw before. It's basically just Richard Greenbrier. Okay, so here we go. So this is our grandpa. This is the guy in that photo that we saw before. And this is him saying, like, "Dear son, I see that you've released a book. It's fine, but I don't approve of it." And so we were talking a little bit last time about why Dad wasn't being more supportive of that program for Sam, and you know, we think that might be why, right? Because he was never supported himself. Another of the house's mysterious 3-ring binders with nothing in it. I mean, I guess you have high school age kids. That's a thing. We learned that Mom became a citizen of America, born in Canada. This is a picture, an early picture of her, obviously. And I think the interesting thing here is to show, like, this is a way that the game takes the mom and further, like, pushes her out of the narrative, right? Like, we've played through, we already know that the mother is a little bit on the outside. Her and Dad are having some problems. We haven't learned as much about her except that she is Canadian, she works in forestry, and that there's an implication that we're supposed to think that she might be having an affair because of a letter from her old roommate. And then so this, separating her from the rest of the family by citizenship, is another way to say, you know, she's an outsider. Let's put her in a place where she's not the same as the rest of the family. So this room, I never understood this. I think this is like an old, I don't know, my family never did this, and I don't think I know anyone who did, but like old newspaper collections. It's a thing, it's a trope that's often used in narrative to show that someone is a hoarder or someone can't let go of certain things. So that might be what's happening here. If we could read the date on any of these newspapers, we would know who they belong to, but I'm suspecting that it's the uncle. This is that postcard that Sam wrote to Lonnie, just showing that they went on a trip together to Multnomah Falls. And it's just another way to kind of reinforce, like, it's cute, they're doing things together, that kind of thing. So I think we've probably seen everything in here. The pharmacy ledger, basically just giving us an established history for the house. You know, and it's a bit of a, I don't want to say a fake out, but it's a way to diffuse the tension that we got when we came down here the first time. We have the servants' quarters. There's this safe that we still don't know the combination for. Though I have a feeling that if I look around a little more, I might be able to find it. So let's do a quick run through just to make sure. Oh yeah, and we also found out that the house was used to store illegal alcohol in the 20s. So there was some bootlegging going on, which is a fairly common thing in the Pacific Northwest at that time. Anyway, I don't imagine it's still a common thing. You know, bootleggers aren't really that big of a deal so much now. America got over that particular problem. So I'm gonna go back. Actually, there was that ledger around here somewhere. I think that had a number on the front, but that seems like a pretty obvious. Yeah. Okay. So I think this is the way out. Let's take a look at our map. Yeah, okay, so I'm in the storage room here. It's way out there. Some sort of miscellaneous stuff. And I haven't found anything leading me to the attic yet. I feel like this is maybe the most expansive of the rooms that we've reached so far, because I feel like it's also the least straightforward, right? It's not actively saying, like, here's the next clue, here's the next thing. Yeah, so this ledger doesn't seem to have anything in it. Yeah, no numbers here. The game's been pretty obvious about feeding us numbers for safes and what have you, so it's just a question of finding them right now. This is the wood pile. Yeah, so maybe that pile, all the piles of newspapers aren't about telling us that anyone in the family is like hoarding, and maybe it's more about a practical purpose. Maybe it's for starting the fire. So here's another hallway. I think this might be the secret hall that I came in. Have I been in this room before? No, I haven't. Yeah, here we go. So this looks like I don't know if this room was always like this, but it definitely has been used by Lonnie and Sam to like hang out and make plans and all of that stuff. So let's see what kind of stuff they've been up to here, and I bet you we're gonna get some more audio notes. So, piece of paper. I love the texture on this paper. Like I'm really into the idea that they handmade a lot of these props. Like I don't know for sure, but it seems like a lot of that stuff is true. Coolest stuff about being the Psycho House girl. Okay, so she's writing about why it's okay to live in this house. I think it's like she's trying to reassure herself. I wonder what all this is about. I wonder why these are written on pieces of scrap paper. Like, it looks like she went to a show. It looks like she's just writing some miscellaneous writing. And then this scrap looks like they're making a music video or planning a Halloween costume or something. But I wonder why these aren't more properly in her journal. Let's keep looking around the room and see what we can find. Women Outlaws. I wonder if this is a real comic. It's got the little seal in the corner, I think ECC or something. I've seen that before, or something like it. So they're making the photocopy of Women Outlaws, and they're going to use that for something, maybe a flyer or a... Alright, a sock. Let's see what's on this cassette. The game is really kind about giving us cassette tapes in the same room that we get. We always have players whenever there's tapes. You don't have to go into another room. Awesome. I think I have the soundtrack for this game. I think it came with the game when I bought it. I should give it a listen. It's pretty cool. I don't know much about Riot Girl music from the 90s, but I could probably listen to the soundtrack at least. Give it a chance. Girl Justice now. So you can see, like, this is the evolution of the character, right? Like, we got to see her as a kid, and, like, we see her room, and her room is a little bit like this, but her room is a space that her parents enter as well. This space, I feel like, is more... It's a combination of being more pure about the character, because it's focusing on where the character is at right now, or the last time kind of we saw her. But it's also a bit of an illusion, because it's doing that thing, it's showing you where... And I don't know, maybe this is a thing you've experienced personally, but where when you fall for somebody, when you like really care about somebody, their interests become your interests, especially teenagers, right? Teenagers have identity problems, and in that they don't have an identity yet, and so crafting an identity often comes from the outside. And so I think that's what we're seeing a lot of here, right? Is that she's sort of not co-opting, but adopting Lonnie's identity for her own to help her understand better who she is. And that's what makes people, I think, disregard teenage sexuality as a thing, because, you know, if a teenager is spending time around people that their parents perceive to be, you know, alternate sexualities, it's going to make them think, oh, well, it's a phase, right? That's where the whole phase thing comes into play. And so, you know, it's interesting. The game hasn't touched on that, but I wonder if it's going to. You know, we've really not had the ability to step aside and see what the parents are reacting to this specific thing. Like, I'd love to hear an article, or a journal entry where she says, like, Mom and Dad found out about Lonnie and I. This is what happened. Let's see, this one's for you, Grossman. Captain A and Rev 1 Aleutian Girl. Awesome. Punks. The great Goodfella riot of 95. Had enough, heard enough. Kicking against the patriarchy. A wipers button. Heaven to Betsy. Bratmobile. Yeah, so they're designing a show poster. Again, Wednesday, April 13th. So, has the show happened already? Oh, zines. Yes. That's so good. So that's what they're working on. I wonder who Grossman is. So she's using her creativity to make things and fight the power, which is pretty cool. So this is like a little office, and like I wonder how long she's like been in here with the parents like not being around, you know? Like it seems like she just lives in this house without anybody else. Aha! 196.3. Okay, so let's go back. I'm gonna turn around. Now, here's the point. All right, so think about the narrative flow of the game, right? I come up the stairs, I've opened the door, and what I see here is the note. Now, my immediate thought is this is a solution to a problem I was having earlier, so I'm gonna flip it around and go back. But if I hadn't seen the safe, God knows how that would be possible, I would just blow through and I would be seeing what's in this room. So let's go back to the safe. Then we'll come back here, and we'll see how the game is doing. We'll see what the game teaches us, and consider that you might not be able to experience this without having to see the safe first. Let's go check it out. I think the safe is down here. Hopefully no orcs will jump out at me. It's interesting feeling like, God, I use that word a lot when I'm playing this game, hey? I'm finding it compelling that the game is, it's diffused that sense of, I would say worry or nervousness I was feeling before. Like, I know it's not a horror game anymore. And as I'm building up my knowledge about the house, I'm learning, hey, you know, this is that kind of game. Alright, so we've got, whoop, that's not what I wanted to do. A hydrogen peroxide bottle. Okay. Got a Aquatil bottle. What looks like some rubber hose. A box of syrettes. Oh, morphine. Some boxes of morphine. That's good. A syringe. Is there any jet in here? And a letter. So from Oscar Massan to Mary Greenburn, returned to sender. This is gonna be sad. I can just see it. Okay. Dear sister, I write what shall be my last appeal to go unanswered one way or the other. I feel a prisoner, as on an island with no jailer, no human soul for commune, only my one mind examining itself endlessly searching for relief. In the years since transgression, I've sought no absolution, only bare forgiveness. In good faith, I have removed myself from all temptations, sacrificed to prove my commitment, however I can imagine. Since mother's passing, I have yearned for nothing more than the acknowledgement of my own kin, to be treated as human again, to breathe the air of human spirit once more. By grace, even a wretch like me should be saved, but I do not expect it. If no response is received, I shall henceforth accept my sentence and one day simply cease to be. With a brother's love, always, Oscar Massan. Wow. Okay. So I'm going to assume, I'm going to put these things together. We don't know about the transgression. Yeah, I don't know what that could be. I mean, I could guess, maybe. I could guess that he's hiding, like, a homosexual past, or that he did something bad, that like, he obviously wasn't jailed for whatever he did, but has been cast out from his family. Yeah, that's such a bummer. But I'm also going to guess that the morphine is not for pain relief. I'm going to guess that it's probably for suicide purposes. So this is one of those puzzles that didn't really lead me to anywhere. I mean, it led me to learn something, which is sort of the reward of this game, right? Like, when we talk about, you know, I talk about role-playing games this way, but I've also talked about computer games, is that it's like, okay, so what's the game about, right? In this case, the game is about learning about the family, right? It's about the way that this family fits together or doesn't. I think that the game, we ask, how is the game about that? How is this game about learning? And the game is about that by making all of its gameplay about exploration, right? Exploring the house, exploring the relationships, learning things about the environment, and by which I mean both the setting and the characters, which we talked about earlier are sort of blended together. And then how does the game reward that? And the only reward in this game is the reward of knowledge, is the reward of understanding. So I'm learning things about the game. I'm playing it, and I'm getting to know more. It's changing my feeling about the game. So my reward is, the entertainment of play, but also just the sense of like feeling accomplished and knowing things I didn't know before. The pursuit of knowledge. So let's take a look around. So we've seen this room, and there's the staircase that led up. There's a panel back here. Oh, so this is looks like another secret. Yeah, another secret door. Okay, I'm gonna close this and I'm gonna come back. Let's go upstairs. So I think this room will be only one room on its own because it's a guest room, and this is where Katie was supposed to be staying. Yeah, Mom and Dad were gonna make up the guest room. I'm guessing that switch opened this door as well, or have I been in here before? Yeah, I have. Okay. So yeah, I've been in this room before. Oh, that's right, and I think I saw that. Okay. Alright, so I don't have to explore this room. It just shows me that there's another way to move around in the house. Okay. So let's go back through this panel that we saw before. Guardian angels up above, bless this house with lots of love. And a tartan. And also some creepy flickering lights. Yeah, so this was the door that we couldn't get out of in the main room. We couldn't enter. And was there something under the couch here? So Jan, which is my mom, on February the 22nd, shampoo, set, color, perm, and a manicure, 119 bucks. Wow, in 1995 money, it's not bad. So, this is the thing I find super interesting. Is that word again? I'm really engaging with the game. So, what are we supposed to learn from this, right? What's your first thought? Let's look at the clues that we've got before about Mom. Unsatisfied, like because she's having problems with Dad. Not having a great relationship. Doesn't look like Dad's trying to fix it. Then we learn about she's having some trouble. We have a follow-up letter that says not only is she having some trouble, but sexy Ranger Rick is around. And now we're being implied that she's getting ready for some kind of big event. Now, again, the dates, we don't know. This has to be this year. Yeah, I mean, why do... Then again, I'd invite you to... I'd invite you to look at your reactions to the information we're learning about the mom in a critical light. Think about what ways the kind of inherent sexism built into narrative might be affecting the way you think, right? Like, when you see an implication, when a married woman is like talking about an attractive coworker, our immediate assumption is to jump to the fact that, oh, she's gonna cheat on her husband, right? I mean, again, we don't know for sure, but think about the ways, like, the game is doing a good job kind of nudging us in a particular direction, but it's also leaving room for us to interpret. Now, it hasn't surprised us yet, but I'm wondering if maybe this is where it will. Think about the way that the game lets you fill the empty space. We call this in role-playing game in the role-playing game sort of world, we call this the fruitful void. This is the space where you don't have answers and you discover them during play. In Dungeon World, we talk about it as draw maps, leave blanks, right? Where you want to give the player, as a designer, you want to give the player space to fill their own space with what's in their head. Yeah. So I'm also noticing the beloved math squad is doing their job, and yeah. I guess this isn't the right amount of money. Good job, Sherry. Doesn't look like a tip either. You wouldn't write your tip down on the receipt. Eh, she got scammed. Alright, so let's look around. Spanish textbook, a letter, a whole bunch of miscellaneous stuff, another very cool folder. Let's read the letter. Bruce Pendleton, Head of Personnel, State Forestry Service. Dear Head Conservationist Greenbrier, due to your exemplary management of the Flintlock prescribed burn operation last year and the service's need for experienced personnel to direct regional operations, we'd like to offer you the position of Regional Conservation Management Director, responsible for operations throughout northwestern Oregon. Your assistance will be sought to fill your previous position on site at the Flintlock National Forest. Your new posting will be at Regional Management Building located at 128 Bullhorn Road, which would be much more convenient for your daily commute. I think that Mom wrote the note at the front desk or front door that was like, WTF, so far to drive. So this is interesting. This happened 2/8/95, so 2 weeks before she got her hair done. But good job, Mom. This appears to be a Spanish textbook. Okay, so here's some more information about Mom's relationship with Sam. So this is interesting. Hey Lonnie, sorry my mom's such a bitch last night. She's hardly ever around since her forest is like an hour away, and then when she's home she takes it out on you because like you're not a member of the family and she knows you won't call her on it, and I'm sorry. Okay. I know, she's just jealous of your cool and freewheeling lifestyles. I feel sorry for you. I'm lucky my mom lives in Florida. You have a mom every day. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring up the mom thing like that. I know I shouldn't complain. No, I'm being serious. My mom is a psycho-Christian, and her new husband, Don, is a complete tool. Living in Florida with him is her eternal punishment in my mind. So you wouldn't rather live with your mom in Florida? No. Okay. Alright, so... Mom... So this is a good contrast, right? So the reason that Sam thinks that Lonnie got shit on by her mom is that she has to drive really far to work. When we know more about Mom, maybe than Sam does now. Also, the problem that Sam thinks is here isn't the problem, right? It won't be soon because we know that she's getting a closer job. So there's something jammed down here in the ticket, ripped in half to Earth, Wind, and Fire. One adult ticket, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Does it have a date on it? The next day, February 23rd. So, okay, so if we compare this to what we found down here, Mom, and I think that the poster in the bedroom is a belonging of our mom. So she got all dressed up and went to the Civic Auditorium to see Earth, Wind, and Fire. We're supposed to assume with Ranger Rick, I imagine. Let's see what else we got. Ooh, guided by voices, nice. Froth magazine. I love the magazines in this game. So good. All right, so let's keep looking around in this this area because it looks like it's quite a bit bigger than it looks on the outside. Oh. Anybody know what code that is? What airport they came from? JAX. So a crumpled box of newspaper and a note. Oh, cute. Okay, so you remember that green skull that we saw earlier? Sam, this skull was the coolest thing I found in Mexico, and it was like $3 American. I love it. Merry Christmas. Miss you. Heart. L. P.S. Treasure it always. So that gives us some context to that earlier. And I hadn't drawn that connection. Like, I think that there you go. It's Jacksonville, Florida. I think that the implication here is that Lonnie, Yolanda, is like Mexican or half Mexican, or has family there because she went to Mexico, and because her name sounds Latin, and I think that this is a part of like tying her into that, giving her a bit more like culture and background. Oh, here we go. So there's a dining room in the house. One would hope. It looks like a total mess. Mom's purse, which I will hurl to the side. Manual for Forestry Research and Education. So she's, I guess, learning for her new job. Hi, there we go. Hi, Jan. Got 2 tickets for Earth, Wind, Fire Thursday, but my girlfriend says she doesn't want to go. Her taste in music rears its ugly head again. So that leaves me with an extra ticket that I thought you might be interested in. So this game is doing a thing that I think makes people treat it like it's a treat it like it's like sort of a hipster game, in that it focuses on music as being. You remember, maybe if you've watched the earlier parts of this, the thing is like it uses music to tell us about the characters because the characters are a product of the ephemera around them, right? And so often with people who really care about music, you can learn a thing or assume a thing about them. So this is a thing, right? That they have both the music in common. They both like Earth, Wind, and Fire, and they have the fact that their husband or wife or girlfriend or whatever doesn't share their musical taste, because we know that Dad listens to jazz. And because of the way the game is built, I don't think that Mom necessarily does, right? And you see the same thing, like Lonnie and Sam are bonding over music as well. So that leaves me with an extra ticket that I thought you might be interested in. More fun than clearing brush in the freezing rain, right? Rick. Okay. So she has the tickets, obviously she went. Another copy of the zine, this time on the table. Looks like they were using the table to make it. It's a super cool 90s folder. Oh my god. Alright. Sam, since you refused to hear us out this afternoon, your mother and I are putting this in writing so we're absolutely clear. Also so that the player of the game can read it, and because we're a bunch of passive-aggressive dicks. So, you're grounded for the rest of the month, and from social and telephone privileges, using your car for anything except going to and from school. We understand what you're going through, but can't allow you to continue with this kind of behavior at school. Clearly, once your privileges are reinstated, we can't allow you to have your bedroom door closed while Lonnie is at the house. This is the last word on the matter. Get on course so this won't have to happen again. I wonder what happened. So something happened at school. It's also really shitty that this isn't a note. Like, I mean, again, we know why the game is portraying a passive-aggressive family, but... Here we go. Samantha Greenbrier, 4/21/95. So Mom went to that concert a while ago. Distributing inappropriate materials. Yeah, okay. So...
I had an interesting talk with Mom and Dad tonight. One you were never gonna need to have. I mean, you've known, right? I've known. I've known since, like, She-Ra. Mom and Dad didn't, I guess. But they saw the zine and the stuff on the locker, and they were like, is there something we should know about you and Lonnie? And so here's the thing. I was prepared for them to be mad, or disappointed, or start crying, or something. But they were just in denial. You're too young to know what you want. You and Lonnie are just good friends. You just haven't met the right boy. It's a phase. That's what I didn't see coming. That they wouldn't even respect me enough to believe me. Well, joke's on them, because they're in for one very long phase.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard thing to hear from your parents who supposedly love you. Poor kid. So that's the thing, and it fits perfectly with what we understand about the family, right? In that they're super passive aggressive, they don't communicate well, and so instead of dealing with it, instead of accepting their daughter, they're like, nope, this isn't happening. Here's a note about it. Also, you're grounded for being a lesbian. Ooh, a postcard. I recognize this place. Oh, yeah. I've been there. Hi, Mom, Dad, and Sam. The Vatican is weird. Yes. As you can see, the Catholic Church still has a lot of money left over from the Middle Ages. I've gotten to see all the art, including the Sistine Chapel ceiling and the sculptures by Michelangelo, Donatello, and the rest of the Ninja Turtles. Thank you, the 90s. Mom, we'll have to come back together. I'd love to be here with someone who really appreciates the history behind everything. Also, Sam, they have various relics, capital R. As in pieces of important dead people. You should probably come too. Next stop, Barcelona. Calm down, Dad. I won't get gored by a bull, probably. God, no butts in heaven. Nice. Cool. The Vatican is definitely weird. Beautiful, though. After spending time in Rome and Florence and what have you, if I never see another painting of Jesus again, it will be too soon. Anything else going on in here? Any more sadness I can uncover? Oh, here we go. So here's an interaction between Mom and Dad that shows a little bit of like tenderness in their relationship. The accidental warrior. Don't give up on this, honey. So he crumpled it up and tried to throw it away. Oh, waste of paper. This would have taken hours on a dot matrix printer. He tried to throw it away and Mom wouldn't let him. Which, you know, that's nice. She's supportive. Okay. It's in the hallway now. Let's take a quick look around. Yeah, okay. Kitchen? Oh, tape deck. That must mean there's a tape around here somewhere. Aha! Bradmobile. Some special. Oh, Lonnie. Should we listen to it? Okay. I'm gonna do a separate Let's Play of the soundtrack. I gotta be careful about playing them because I don't want my VODs to get taken down. Alright, so let's see. So the kitchen is usually a place where one actually intentionally leaves notes for people. So let's see what these say. Mr. and Mrs. Jonathan Blair request the honor of your presence, the marriage of their daughter, Helen Margaret, to Mr. Richard Morse Pasternak. Sunday, 4th of June, 1995, at 4:30 in the afternoon. Sunset Lutheran Church, Seaside, Oregon. I don't know who any of these people are, but Seaside, Oregon is beautiful. So Sam works at a burger joint, 3 to 7. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And hey, there's the pizza flyer for all that pizza we've been eating. In the refrigerator, a bottle of Almonds Cola. The best for your table. Well, alright. For my table. Milk. Still good? Who knows? Looks like the seal hasn't been broken. A squeezed bottle of salad dressing. Some ketchup. I'm not really seeing anything of interest here. American cheese slices. Kind of gone bad banana. So the house isn't that abandoned, right? Because the fruit would have been all disgusting. Oh, God. I mean, okay, I'll leave all the lights on, but I'm not going to leave the fridge open. That would be just a crime. Some ice cream. I mean, I'm just fish sticks. Gross. Do we buy everything from Almonds? Yeah, we sure do. Must be like a grocery store brand. Well, thanks, refrigerator. I do like the attention to detail that, like, you can manipulate all these objects. Microwaves in video games always make me think of Maniac Mansion. If you've played the original Maniac Mansion, you'll know why. Huh, also, thank you, chat. The milk is a month out of date. Well, then I won't drink it. Oh my god. I read the first 3 words and I'm already sad. Samantha and Daniel were in the woods one day. It was sunny and they were on an adventure. But they went to the something part of the woods and it got dark. Daniel said, "Are you scared?" So Samantha said, "No." "Are you?" They weren't. They left and were more into the bad part, and then they went to a part that they never been before, and there was a ship. A pirate ship. On an auction, Samantha said, "I'll be the captain and you be the first mate," Daniel said. So, I guarantee...
Daniel finally came over to get his game. I'd been dreading it. But he brought this story with him that I wrote when we were little. I started reading it, and then there I was, crying at the kitchen table. He asked what was wrong, and I was thinking about how we used to be friends, how much I'd taken for granted. But instead, I told him about school, and Dad, and Lonnie. And then how sorry I was that I wasn't his friend anymore. He gave me a hug and said it was going to be okay. For some reason, I almost believed him.
Well, that went nicely, you know? Like, God, it's a hard thing to tell a person, like, "I'm sorry, I'm not into you because I am gay." Especially telling a dude who might not want to hear that. So it's really cool that they portrayed Daniel as, like, understanding in that way. Still, yeah, we're seeing a lot of this, like, struggle that Sam has to go through to just, like, be who she is. Which for me is, like, yeah, it's really interesting, and really, like, kind of hard to listen to. Okay, so this is an acceptance letter from Mom and Bruce Pendleton. So she accepted the job, so that's nice. Good job, Mom. Weirdly placed desk. An oven with nothing in it. That's good. God, now I'm thinking about Maniac Mansion. Some more miscellaneous fridge stuff. Oh, yeah. I want to eat a big bowl of hippos. Somebody already did the maze. Cake? Oh, cake. Now with pudding. Honey snaps. Fuel for winners. No Pac-Man cereal? Alright. I would love to do an entire show just about branding in games. About, like, fake made-up food and made-up companies in video games. Because there's so many, and some of them are so good, and some of them are so bad. Grand Theft Auto does an amazing job of, like, fake branding stuff. Ugh. Alright, so check this out. So Katie comes home at the end of June. Glacier National Park. June 95. Can't make it, send regrets. Can't go to Rick's wedding because you're going to be on your anniversary trip. I wonder how Mom feels about that. Charity pickup. Trail event. Elementary cleanup. This is Mom's calendar. You notice it doesn't have any, like, Dad's stuff on it. Dad just sits in his house and streams StarCraft. I mean, writes books. Yeah, okay, so some more books. Again, this is, so we're getting exposed, ironically, well, not ironically at all. We're being exposed to, Mom by way of the kitchen in a lot of ways, which, the 90s, I guess, is a thing. And she doesn't really have her own room. You notice that, like, Dad has a room, but Mom doesn't. So this, I think, is supposed to be the pantry, but is really kind of just, like, a gross... Yeah, what is this? Huh. Okay, well, I'm gonna take a quick break before we explore the garden shed in the back of the house. But I'll be gone for about 3 minutes, and we'll come back and see how much further we can get. So, of course, as always, thank you for sticking around. I hope you're enjoying it.